Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? All right. Great. Welcome. This is the session on security in the digital workplace. My name is Reena Nadkarni, and I work on security and analytics for G Suite. People are moving to the cloud for a variety of different reasons. Let's start with a little bit of interactive Q&A. Shout out, like, what are the reasons people are moving to the cloud, do you think? Security, okay, nailed it. Yeah, to be more agile. Cost, excellent. That's right, and traditionally, mostly for optimization of IT infrastructure. And just reducing costs and optimizing IT infrastructure is in the past. People are now reimagining their businesses around cloud. People are thinking about how should they partner better, how to make their employees more productive. And some of these are board level and C-level initiatives. To be able to help our customers with their migration to the cloud, Google provides many different tools. Let's look at a few of them today. First, with Google, you get the data advantage of having 7 and 8, if you include Google Cloud Platform products, that have over 1 billion monthly active users. In that, we include TensorFlow, our machine learning library that we have open sourced. We also have our big data analytics, BigQuery. We also provide you with the APIs for machine learning, for NLP, for Google Maps, and for Vision and Translate. So all the Google products that you see and use, you can now access through the GCP and our cloud APIs. And then we help you make your teams more productive with our G Suite products. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this today. And then all of these products are based on a foundation of a secure infrastructure, right from the chip to the hardware, all the way up to our mobile devices. Google has security built into the stack. So let's talk a little bit as we look at customers moving to the cloud and trying to make your teams more productive. What are some of the customer challenges that we see in these areas? First, it's really hard to manage these assets at scale. An average organization has to manage upwards of 1,400 cloud-based services. Second, most of these customers also have on-prem software. Managing patches for on-prem software is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. For those of you who are not from San Francisco, they start painting the Golden Gate Bridge. When they reach the other end, they start painting it again. So this is what you have to do with patches. Once you update a few set of patches, some other patch goes outdated, you got to patch that software again. Next, you have data breaches. There has been a catastrophic increase in the number of data breaches our customers are seeing. You've seen this in the news, right? Reputations of really good companies getting ruined because they couldn't protect their data appropriately. So when we think about all of these, we really feel your pain. Email still remains the #1 attack vector. 91% of account hijackings start with a phishing. Second, keeping up. We just talked about that. Also, it is really difficult for customers to get control over their employees' actions. There has been a 15 times increase in the number of ransomware attacks. We believe that with a pure cloud-native solution, you can manage these better. You can secure your data better. This is like getting a vault in a bank instead of trying to put your money under your mattress. When we think about security for products like G Suite, cloud-based productivity suites, we think about this in the following ways: proactive, intelligent, compliant, and simple. When you think about proactive, you want the admin to get some basic protections without doing anything. And we're going to look at some examples for that. Second, You want them to be intelligent. Google has a lot of data that we can work off of, and I'm going to tell you today about how that helps us be better in security. Many of our customers have very stringent requirements when it comes to compliance, so we want to help them along their compliance journey. And finally, we want to help our customers keep the security tools and deployment of them simple so that security tools can actually be used and deployed. Once you have all of your data in the cloud, the scale of this machine learning becomes more effective. We all know that ML models work better if you have more data to train them on. Did you know that every single minute, Gmail stops over 10 million spam messages? We have over almost 700,000 web pages that are scanned and prevented from having harmful software. We isolate 2 phishing sites. Just think about if all of these things were let go to our customers. And we are able to do this because Google carries 1/4 of the internet's traffic. We are able to handle some of the most egregious denial of service attacks because we have the network that can handle up to 500,000 high-definition videos on YouTube at the same time. So this is how we're using our scale to help protect you, our customers, better. This is an example of how we look at, we're very proud of our record with Gmail, all the way from when an email gets sent out, all the way till when it reaches a user, we have defenses in place. First, before an email reaches you, we validate it through SPF, Sender Policy Framework, or DKIM, to make sure that people are not spoofing your email. Then we have a deep scanning and antivirus check that happens pre-delivery. Once you have a message that is open, we will warn you if there's anything suspicious going on in that email. We're able to do an S/MIME verification, and we will prevent downloads for attachments that we are worried about. In the previous session that I was in, we had Mike Letman, the CISO of the state of Arizona, give us a really great example, and I'm going to share his story here. One of the things he said was that when they first moved to G Suite, some portion of their organization was on G Suite and hence Gmail, and some portion was on their old legacy system. And one day there was an attack that came in, and there were a lot of malicious emails. And the folks who were, including Mike, who were on Gmail, just were not seeing it until they realized that Gmail was automatically blocking some of these. So they had to go through an account of someone who was in the old legacy system to be even able to see it. Next, we also have the ability for you to have things like out-of-domain warnings. What does that mean? So if I'm sending an email to someone, if I type the wrong email address, let's say I have a friend with the same email address, and I'm sending it to them by mistake instead of Todd, who is my colleague, will give a very intuitive warning that says, hey, this user is outside of your G Suite domain. Do you really want to send this? And you may want to send it. Maybe it's a partner or a marketing agency that you're working with, but we take our responsibility very seriously to surface that concern for you. And of course, you can do additional things as an admin. You can set up two-factor authentication. You can set up data loss prevention rules. You can also control OAuth access to third-party applications. Next, we talked about intelligence. So the Security Center is a product that we announced earlier, and today we announced another component. So taking a step back, I talked about how machine learning and machines and machine learning models do so much better once there is more data. But that doesn't work for humans and admins. Admins are only human. So the amount of data that is coming to a typical admin is a lot, and it's very, very difficult for them to distinguish between the signal and the noise. This is why the Security Center is so useful. The Security Health gives you a picture of all of Google's best practices when it comes to your security settings. And when You have adhered to those settings. We show you a green check mark. We're going to show you a demo of that here in a second. The security dashboards is one aggregated view into the security posture of your organization. So you can see things like mobility, you can see things like drive activity, you can see things like login audit, all in one spot so that you can understand what's going on in your organization. And finally, the investigation tool that allows you to be able to very quickly isolate an incident when it happens. Because as an admin, the amount of time that you have when a bad actor enters into your organization for you to quickly isolate and stop the attack is very short. So to show you a demo of the Security Center investigation tool, I'd like to invite my colleague Vivek Bhandari on stage. Vivek?
Awesome. Thank you, Reena. Hi, everybody. My name is Vivek Bhandari. I'm a product manager on G Suite focused on security and analytics capabilities. And who wants to see a demo? Yeah? All right. Well, let's get into the console, and we'll walk you through. So as Reena talked about the three components of the security center, the dashboards, the investigation tool, and security health, and that's what we will walk through here in the next few minutes. So I'm going to be logged into my admin console, which is going to show up over here, and I'm just going to make sure that my page is refreshed and I'm logged in on this admin console. Now from the admin console, I'm actually going to go in and here we go. Here we go. Just a quick refresh again. I had a different session open, which we'll walk through for a different demo. Now, in the admin console, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the dashboards. The dashboards are really meant to give the administrator a quick view of all the key metrics across the platform. Now, these metrics, as we'll see here on the screen, include reports that come in from Gmail traffic, from Drive, from MDM, and all the different things that are going on. Across this, the admin can then quickly take a look at if there is anything that looks out of the normal here, and then click on the more details tab to get into the details of the report. Now in this scenario, let's just say the admin got a report that someone's account may have been hijacked and is being used to send out phishing emails. So in that case, the admin can actually come down to the phishing report over here and drill into the details. There's plenty of information available here for the admin to actually look into. The admin sees here there's a bunch of phishing emails, and in this case, the sample data shows there's a bunch of phishing emails. They can click on and figure out who is this sender that may have been compromised. And as you can see here, we have a user that is an internal user whose account is being used to send these phishing emails out. And we'll see in terms of what is the widespread nature of this attack. And by clicking on recipients, one gets a sense of how many users have really received these emails. So from here, now we'll talk about the investigation tool. This is where it's very powerful, where the admin can then from the dashboard quickly get into the investigation tool. And the investigation tool really is meant to give the administrator, we'll switch to the investigation tool here, and allow the administrator to quickly investigate, triage, and remediate security incidents, right? So in this case, we know that there is a user that has been possibly hijacked. So what we do is we go up and we see that we have set up a search here, which quickly allows the admin to say, hey, my sender is this internal user, and there's a bunch of emails that are possibly phishing attacks that have gone into other internal users. The admin can do a search. The search results come up, and the admin can see there's a whole bunch of other internal users that got these emails. Now here's the power of the platform. Not only can the admin actually go across multiple different data sources, do a search, but they can actually take bulk actions as well. So let's say a whole bunch of users got these suspicious or malicious emails. The first order of action is for the admin to be able to quickly clean it out. Now the admin can actually do a select all over here, and there are all contextual actions that are available to the admin. The admin can decide the first order of thing is to really erase these messages from users' inboxes and really contain the damage. And so that's what they can do there. Now, once that is done, the second order of things is to really figure out well, let me just figure out how many of these users who got these emails may have acted on it and may have done some other things with their drive files. So the admin can now pivot across the different searches. Taking the email, the recipients over here, the admin can very quickly pivot across different data sources and add that into the search, which I have enabled here towards the second half of the screen. So as you can see here, the admin now wants to figure out of all these users who got these emails, how many didn't have two-factor authentication enabled. And that search quickly yields all the users who didn't have two-step verification on. And then I can do yet another pivot and say how many of these users that got the email didn't have two-step verification and actually shared their drive files with external users after the phishing email came in. And that's my third pivot here, which shows me all the users that, all the drive files here, for example, that have been shared externally. And then I can quickly select these drive files as an admin, and again, contextual actions, where I can take a bulk action and it shows me the option of I can change the ACLs on these files, right? I can restrict the download, print, and copy. I can change the owners. I can make them internal only. So there's a whole bunch of capabilities the admins can very quickly perform through the investigation tool. Okay, so that was the investigation tool, as you saw, which allows admins to very quickly go across multiple data sources, be able to pivot the searches, and be able to take actions and remediate the security incident very quickly. The last bit here, now the admin has resolved this situation, so they're the hero. Now, the next thing is to figure out, well, are all the security controls optimally configured in my platform? And that's where the security health console really comes into play. The security health console allows administrators to look at, single glance, in a single page, whether all their security settings are optimally configured based on Google's recommendations. And that is displayed here. As you can see, the green check mark indicates for all these security controls whether it is configured according to the recommendations. And if it is, it shows a green check mark. And if it is not, there is a recommendation in there. So in this case, the admin can go down and see, for example, for two-step verification for users, there's a recommendation. They can click on it. The recommendation will give details. They can click on Learn More to get even more context on the recommendation. And if they decide that they want to take action and change that configuration, they can very quickly just click on this two-step verification for users. And in that case, it'll take them directly to the location where they can change the setting, right? Making it really easy for them to optimally configure their environment. Okay, so in summary, the security center with the three parts that we talked about, the dashboard, which allows them to see the metrics, the investigation tool, which allows you to go across different data sources and quickly remediate incidents, and the security health, which allows you to make sure that all your security configurations are optimally configured. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Reena to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Switch back to the slides, please. So you saw the demo. When we were building the security investigation tool, we did a lot of user research with each of our customers to understand better what their needs were. And so it really makes me feel very happy that one of our customer CIOs of Salesforce said that, having worked with us and seen the demo of the tool, she said that, she really felt like Google was listening to its customer requirements and pain points. In addition to, having the prevention, detection, and remediation, you can also look to set up data loss prevention rules, both for Gmail and Drive. We announced this last year, but I want to touch upon it briefly. What this allows you to do is any sensitive information that your company has, like social security numbers, and we have over 50 different content types across the globe, you can set up a rule to take quick actions if someone is sharing that outside of your organization. So you can admin quarantine it, you can have them send you an email, or just stop the user from sharing it completely. We're announcing 3 new analytics-related features as well. The first is BigQuery exports. This has been a high demand request from our customers. What this allows you to do is that you can take now all of the data that is in the G Suite admin logs and export it to BigQuery. This helps our customers do joins with third-party information. You can also keep your data for longer. And this enables them to also use third-party tools like Tableau, Splunk, or other tools that they want to use for data visualization. Second, we now are providing the admin ability to see more of what's happening with the audit logging. So one industry trend we are seeing is that when an attacker takes over or hijacks an account, they quickly set up two-factor authentication themselves. So then the person whose real account it was finds it really difficult to get that account back. So we're giving the admin the capability and the visibility to see whether someone has enrolled for 2SV for their account. And finally, I think we all know this, there's been an increase in state-sponsored attacks. So we're allowing the admin to be able to see when someone in their organization was the victim of a state-sponsored attack. We talked about proactive, we talked about intelligent. Let's talk about compliance. These are the commitments we make to our customers in the enterprise. First, Google does not collect, scan, or use your data in G Suite for advertising purposes. I often get this question even today, your Google, what about ads? So we just want to make sure that we're stating that very clearly. Also, we want to make sure that you're never locked in. So you are free to delete or export your data at any time. Not only have we designed these products to adhere to the most stringent security and privacy right from the get-go, but we also work with third-party auditors and regulators to make sure that our data practices, data handling practices are good. We also have Google Vault. I'm not sure if any of you are using it, but Google Vault is a e-discovery product. So if your company gets put on a litigation hold and you want to isolate the emails for, let's say, these 300 users, you can use Google Vault to do that. And Google Vault is included as part of G Suite, both in our G Suite Business and G Suite Enterprise editions. Now let's talk about how we're keeping things simple. One is the number of consoles you have to worry about in G Suite. I have customers telling me that other providers make them go across 12, 14 different consoles, probably because multiple acquisitions have resulted in a disjointed set of products. We have one simple management console, and we truly believe in keeping it that way. In this console, not only do you get the stuff that Vivek just showed us, you also get inbuilt mobile device management capability. We recently announced default on mobile management. What that means is that both on Android and on iOS, it's an agentless operation. You have to do nothing, you have to download nothing, the admin has to do nothing. The minute a user enters your organization's credentials into an Android or an iOS device, we are providing the admin the ability to do a selective device wipe or to be able to enforce a password. This is what I mean by simple. And I'm really excited to announce that we have 10 million devices under management under G Suite's mobile device management capability and growing fast. We talked a little bit about mobility. I also want to let you know that when it comes to data security, we encrypt your data at rest. We encrypt your data in transit. Yesterday, at Google Next, we announced that in addition to that, we're also giving you extra control on where your data resides. We announced this data regions functionality that allows you to choose whether your data resides in the US or in Europe or globally. And this functionality is flexible. You can add as many organization units as you want. You can create as many data regions for those organization units as you want. It also is very intuitive. So if I have a file and I'm based in the US, and then I transfer that file ownership to my coworker who is based in Europe, without you doing anything, the data regions policy automatically adapts to the new user. Secondly, and my favorite part, is that during the data move, you have full edit capability. So think about that. The data regions policy is changing, the data is moving, but you do not lose edit capability on your content. And it's fully enterprise ready and included at no additional cost in both our G Suite Business and our G Suite Enterprise products. I'm going to call Vivek back on stage real quick to show us a demo so you can see both the MDM as well as the data regions functionality. Vivek?
Great, thanks, Reena. All right, so we'll take a look at the demo for these two capabilities Rina just mentioned. One is data regions, and the other is MDM, which is to show how quick and easy it is to enable data regions, as well as make sure that there is device management supported for all the mobile devices. All right, so here I am, logged into the console. The first thing we'll talk about is data regions. Now, in data regions, as you can see here, under the company profile, there is a space for data regions. Now, there are two journeys we'll walk through here, which is fairly quick. One is the ability for administrators to actually be able to activate data regions based on OUs, which is really that fine-grained control based on your different user organizational units. Where do you want the data to actually reside? So I have my OU set up on the left over here. I can select the root OU, or I can actually go, and as you can see, if I select my European group OU, I have enabled the European data region, which means the data that is being used by the users is actually going to be located within the European data centers. The same thing, if I have selected somebody to be out of the US region, it will have a US preference selected there for data regions, and then there will be, effectively no preference means you're truly getting the benefit of the global scale of the platform. Now, once I have set this up, as you can see, it's very simple. You set it up, and the platform does all the work behind the scenes in terms of if you have already have a bunch of data in there, the migration happens behind the scenes, and as an admin, I can check the status of my migration of the data in terms of how it's moving across the different regions by service. And so for that, I can click on Dashboard, and the dashboard will give me a view of all the data regions in progress. And it gives me two views. One is by geography itself in terms of how is my data migration taking place for the ones that I've selected. And the other bit is by different services. So in terms of the region and the different services, what is the progress of the data migration happening? And as you can see, it was super simple, very easy to keep track of. And all this is happening with the users being able to continue to use the platform for collaboration and productivity, no frozen files. If a user changes groups, changes geographies, the platform takes care of all the move behind the scenes automatically. Okay, so that was data regions. We are now going to switch to a quick MDM demo. So Rina talked about mobile device management, which is now enabled by default in the platform. A couple of scary stats here. 1 in 4 devices out there actually do not have password protection enabled. And when I'm talking about devices, I'm talking about devices from where users are accessing corporate data. So with 1 in 4 devices, no password protection, and 9 out of 10 devices are not really managed through an MDM solution. That's pretty scary, especially when you have your corporate data on those devices, and it's easy to sort of lose the phones, forget it at a coffee shop. And the reason for that, why is that the scenario? The reason is because traditionally MDM solutions have been really difficult to roll out and manage. It is a lot of burden both for the end user, with the agent there, and for the administrator, where we have really sort of addressed that through simplicity with this agentless deployment. Of course, we do support Android devices, but for today's demo, I thought I will pick an iPhone and show that it also works agentless on an iPhone. So with that, as you can see over here, I'm going to go into my MDM console, and as you can see, this is my MDM console, and it shows there are no devices right now that I'm tracking. Now, here's a scenario. We have an employee who's out of the office, who's out on vacation, and there's something urgent come up, right? And they need to be able to access the corporate email, be able to review it, and respond back. With that scenario, we basically want to make sure that the corporate data is protected. So let's switch over here to the mobile phone, and let's take a look at the experience of that user who's out of the office. All right, so I'm going to log into my device over here, and I need to access my email as the end user. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to sign in using my corporate account. So there we go, and hopefully this is visible well. All right, there we go, and I'm going to select my corporate account and go in there. I have that account that I'm going to log in as, and then I'm going to insert my password. Now this device is actually password protected, right? If it wasn't, it would be a slightly different experience. So now I went ahead and put in my password, and I'm trying to access my email. Now, because the device actually has password protection enabled, as you can see now, I've been able to access my corporate email on this device. It was as seamless and easy for the end user. If there was no password, the user would get an error to say that you need to set up a password. I would set up the password, and now I would be able to log into my corporate account. With that, let's switch to a console, and let's see what the administrator now sees with the user who's now accessed their email on their personal device for the very first time. So here we are back on our console, and we're going to simply refresh the screen to see if that device pops up. And as that screen comes up there, we would expect that device to actually show up there. Now, with this page, as you can see over there, we see the device pop up. No agent, it's just showing up there. Now, if the work is done, and if the administrator decides that for these personal devices, they want to be able to make sure that it's limited access, and they want to be able to wipe it off, they can select it, and they can quickly just say, wipe off the account. And what that effectively does is it should basically disable access to the corporate email from that device. So for that, I'm going to switch back to the device to show you what it looks like on the device. And here we are back at the device. I'm going to go in, and there you go. I just did a refresh, try to go back to my inbox, and it's taken me back to the sign-in page. And I, as an end user now, no longer can access my corporate email through the device because it was just wiped off. So it was as simple as that. As you can see, again, super simple for the admins, and it now allows you to extend the security to the corporate data across all devices, yet enabling the end users to work from any place on any device at any time. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it back to Reena. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. We talked before about number one, which was the number of consoles G Suite has. I want to show you another number. Prabhakar talked about this in the keynote yesterday, so he stole my thunder a little bit, but 0. This is the number of account hijackings our CAT team, counter abuse technology team, has seen since customers have deployed security keys. So I have a security key with me. If you haven't seen one, we just announced our own Google security key today. Please secure your C-suite, secure your admins with security keys. It really changes the security posture of your organization. So you heard us talk a lot about what we are doing with G Suite, why customers are moving to the cloud. But it is my great honor to invite one of our customers, Hilda Kloon, all the way here from Sydney. She is the former CIO of PwC Australia and their global digital transformation leader. Welcome, Hilda. Tell us about your journey.
Thanks, Reena. Hi, everyone. Maybe just a little bit about PwC. Just to start off with, PwC is a network of firms. So we have about 170 PwC locations around the world, all independently operated and owned by their own partnership structure. We operate as a network. So if you think about it like a franchise, we have our global policies, we have our global brand, but we fundamentally operate as separate entities. So together we form one of the largest professional services firms in the world, and our currency is trust. So for the many years, we are a very traditional organisation. We have been in business for a very long time, and when we work with our clients, we have absolute trust. We are respected for our insights, and historically, we've been a human capital business. It's all about our people, how we build relationships, and how we solve problems for our clients. And that world is changing. So technology is playing a much bigger role, not just in the way we operate as a business, but in the way we work with our clients. We move away from solving problems for clients to solving problems with clients. Our transformation is the same as the transformation of all of our clients. So more and more, we see technology playing a much bigger role in the organisation we need to be in the future. So in 2014, the opportunity arose as we looked at our collaboration, or what was back then, basically the way we did email, went to market and had a look at our options around how we want to modernise the way we work and enable collaboration. And at that time, we came to the decision that we wanted to partner with Google for a whole range of reasons. So our partnership with Google is not just in the way we consume Google technology, but it's in the way that we want to work together to help solve our client problems together. So it was a joint business relationship as well. But there was something really fundamental about an organisation like ours, moving to a collaboration suite that was in the cloud. And back then, it's fair to say what that meant was not exactly clear to the average business executive. So we made a decision to move forward in our journey with Google and look at the replacement of our very old email system with a contemporary collaboration suite that fundamentally changed the way we work, continues to change the way we work. And the way we see it is this. In our mind, as you evolve into a digital organisation, there are some things you have to do to get there. We look at it in 4 steps. The first is foundation, what we call digital awakening. This is about how we bring technology to our people and help them adopt technology in a much more rapid and agile way and get them more comfortable in a world where technology plays a much bigger role in how we work. We then build on that and have a look at how we transact in a more sophisticated way together. On top of that, we become digital builders. So as our products move away from being traditional products in the way we work with our clients, we are moving to be a firm of digital products and services. That's a fundamental shift that requires different skill sets. And lastly, we, along with many, many, many other organisations, have the ambition to be a market digital leader. So how does that play out in our journey with Google? Really simply, as a very first step, we wanted to embed G Suite in its entirety across our network. 3 years later, we're almost there. We're at sort of 90%. What we have remaining are those territories that have difficult regulations. So you recall I said we were 170 independently owned and run offices. If you think about our business, which is assurance and tax, they all deal with their own local legislation. So the implementation of G Suite has been a massive learning curve for us, but we're right at the end of that journey. What's that created? It's created a huge appetite to do more. Okay? So the biggest thing we get asked, and I've now taken the role as the global leader for our consumption of Google, is, right, we've got G Suite. We love it. We know it's changed how we work. It's changed how we work with our clients. We now want the rest. How do we extend that ecosystem to solve ecosystem problems? How do we solve the document management problem? How do we solve a lot of what we historically classified as institutional solutions, but with more modern and contemporary technologies? So it's really opened the door. Cloud for us has been a game changer in terms of how we work together as a network. It's become a true network connector for us. So my reference to who has gone Google, thankfully the blue is who has gone Google. What does it mean? So I've often heard the term, we are better together. And the beauty of G Suite is that it's not a one-to-one correlation of how we potentially have solved problems in the past. In fact, it's a rich ecosystem where we can use different tools to solve different problems. So yes, we can use Gmail, but when you look at the power of suites like Chat, Meet, and G+, I mean, we use G+ in Australia in a very fulsome way, and it's created an incredible platform for discussion and communication. So when you look at the G Suite, the options around how you build capability using a combination of the Google ecosystem, then it becomes a really, really powerful tool. So in terms of our adoption, we are just sort of getting our heads around what that looks like from a pure data perspective. But if we look at some of the metrics that we've got, we've had a very serious penetration of usage across G Suite. And the way we collaborate has fundamentally changed. We've seen Meet, Drive, and other of the suite where it brings people together very, very heavily used across the network, to the point where sometimes our network's not coping with the capacity of how we use it across the network. And GCP. So the numbers here are official numbers. There are some unofficial numbers that suggest that the adoption of GCP across the network is actually very, very rapidly increasing. For us, it's the level 2. It's the way we build on our Google skills to explore further opportunities, not just in how we solve our own problems internally, but how we start to think about GCP, particularly in the areas of analytics and machine learning, how we apply those to how we solve problems for our client. So what does this mean? So ultimately, we round it up to the point where, as I said earlier, we will be a digital organisation. We'll be digitally enabled, we'll be digitally in DNA, and how we solve client problems will be digital at the core. So how does this help us? Well, it's when we start to look at our organisations and how we start to look at the skills that are available to us, we start to see two things play out for us. Digital collaborator, digital builder. And when we move from a world of the past where we built our technology, even our data centres, to the world of the future where we consume that technology and we start building solutions, building products, this ecosystem becomes really important. We think about the person with the idea on how we can solve a client problem, and we think about the person with the skills to curate the solution. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Hilda. One more big round of applause for Hilda Clune, everyone. It's really lovely to hear from our customers. I want to wrap up the session by sharing my final couple of thoughts. The first is around consumerization of technology in the enterprise. Your employees, your customers, when they come to work today, they're expecting to have an easy experience. They're expecting to have the kind of user-friendly tools that they're seeing in their life outside of work. So if you're in the seat of making decisions around which tools to pick, this is an important consideration. Second, when the younger generation is graduating and coming into the workforce, they're expecting a highly collaborative cloud-based solution as well. We have put the power of Google technologies, Google Cloud Platform, all of the G Suite products that we just talked about, as well as Chrome and Android at your fingertips. 4 million plus businesses are using G Suite today, including some very large brands like global leaders like PwC, Airbus, Roche and Genentech, Colgate-Palmolive, State of Arizona, and many others. I hope today's session gave you an overview of the important security considerations behind these products as well. Thank you.